People with great fortune must endure these 8 types of suffering. Listen to understand the impermanence of fortune and misfortune. Dear friends, the Buddha taught, fortune and misfortune have no gate. They are brought upon oneself. This means that blessings or calamities do not come from a separate source, but are drawn by our own actions. Dear friends, in life, some people appear to enjoy abundant blessings, wealth in abundance, a harmonious family, and a thriving career. Yet, strangely, the greater the fortune, the more suffering they often endure. Some lie awake at night, restless with an uneasy mind. Others, despite being seen as happy, feel an inexplicable loneliness. So what is happening? Could it be that fortune and suffering are not opposites, but 2 sides of the same coin of karma? Could it be that those with greater fortune face deeper life lessons? Or perhaps the suffering they bear is not due to a lack of blessings, but because their wisdom is not yet sufficient. The Buddha's teachings guide us to view life through the lens of cause and effect and impermanence. Having fortune does not guarantee peace, nor does suffering always mean misfortune. Every circumstance in life, whether good or bad, is a cause, a result, and an opportunity for self-reflection, helping us find true inner peace. Today, let us explore the 8 types of suffering that those with great fortune often face. Not to despair, but to understand the nature of life, to learn how to keep our minds steady when blessings arrive and remain unshaken when suffering comes. For only by understanding impermanence can we truly live in peace. Please join me with an open heart. Fortune and suffering, the other side of karma. The Buddha said, all phenomena are illusory. If you see phenomena as they truly are, beyond their forms, you will see the Tathagata. This means that everything with form is fleeting, and only by seeing beyond appearances can we grasp the truth. Dear friends, in life, we often view things simplistically. Someone with wealth, a grand home, successful children, or social status is deemed greatly fortunate. Indeed, that is fortune. But the Buddha's perspective goes deeper, urging us to look within, at karma, the mind, and the path each person walks. Fortune is not merely a reward. It is the fruit of good deeds sown in this life or countless past lives. Those with fortune often find life smoother, achieving success and earning affection easily. But without wisdom or a heart rooted in virtue, that fortune becomes a debt. If we do not know how to repay this debt, it turns into a burden. Some are born at the finish line, blessed with everything good. Yet as they grow, they feel increasingly lonely, pressured, and weary. Some are wealthy but mentally exhausted, plagued by constant anxiety. Others are admired, yet perpetually restless. Why is this? Because fortune without the wisdom to preserve it will eventually breed suffering. Fortune is like a bountiful garden. If we only harvest without tending the soil or replanting, the land will soon grow barren. Similarly, those with fortune who neglect self-cultivation, acts of kindness, or letting go of attachments will find their minds depleted, leading to suffering. We have seen many who, when newly prosperous, remain humble, but as fortune grows, some become arrogant, disdain others, or live recklessly. In such cases, fortune turns into negative karma without their awareness. When challenges arise, they lack the inner strength to endure and collapse swiftly. Conversely, some with little material wealth live lightly, peacefully, sleeping soundly, and finding joy in simplicity. This is because they have a heart content with what is enough, wisdom to understand impermanence, and live in harmony with karma. Fortune and suffering are not separate. They intertwine and transform. Fortune without virtue can become the root of suffering. But by cultivating virtue within fortune, staying mindful, listening humbly when successful, remaining modest when praised, and staying grounded when at the peak, one not only preserves fortune but transforms it into wisdom, nourishing the soul. We should neither fear suffering nor overly rejoice in fortune. See everything as lessons, as karma unfolding in impermanence. When blessed, sow more goodness. When suffering, treat it as an opportunity to temper the mind. Ultimately, the most precious thing in life is not how much fortune we have, but whether we can maintain inner peace in any circumstance. That peace is our true refuge, attainable only by understanding the true nature of fortune and suffering in this impermanent life. 1. Suffering from envy and jealousy. The Buddha taught, those with great merit and radiant light also attract great darkness. Just as a bright lamp draws many insects, those with great fortune often stand out in life, making them easy targets for others' envy. Sadly, envy is a poison that resides in the envious heart but burdens the fortunate. Many live peacefully, yet because they surpass others slightly in wealth, beauty, or status, they become objects of scrutiny, criticism, or even slander behind their backs. Those with fortune should be celebrated or emulated, but in reality, they are often quietly envied. This envy needs no reason, only the fact that someone has more. Thus begin false praises, prying glances, and baseless rumors. Some live kindly, helping countless people, yet because they have a comfortable life, they are labeled as fake or boastful. Others do good deeds only to be accused of seeking fame. This is the suffering of the fortunate, being misunderstood despite living virtuously. The tragedy is that the more they explain, the more suspicion they face. So they learn to stay silent, withdraw, and live discreetly to avoid gossip. But this withdrawal often leads to deeper loneliness. Not all fortunate people are resilient. Some wounds come from seemingly harmless words that shatter a sensitive heart, especially when envy comes from those once close or who benefited from their kindness. People assume the fortunate have no cause for suffering, but few understand the quiet pain of doing good yet receiving no recognition, or living kindly yet being doubted. This is a subtle, gnawing suffering that erodes the heart daily. The Buddha taught that envy is one of humanity's greatest afflictions. The envious suffer, but those envied, if not steadfast, suffer no less. Thus, the greatly fortunate must cultivate two virtues to find peace: patience and letting go. No need to explain, argue, or seek understanding. Simply live kindly, sow more merit, and keep a compassionate heart. For gossip is the world's voice, but peace depends on our own heart. Dear friends, if you face envious glances, unkind words, or undeserved misunderstandings today, please smile. Being envied is proof you have what others lack. But instead of pride, choose humility. Instead of resentment, dedicate your merit to them. For understanding the Dharma means seeing that those who envy us burn themselves in the fire of anger. If we follow suit, we step into that fire too. Let your heart be like still water. Ripples may form when stones are thrown, but they soon settle. Ultimately, true fortune lies not in being praised, but in maintaining peace amid the world's judgments. 2. Suffering from others' expectations. The Buddha taught, due to delusion, beings give rise to false hopes. When these hopes multiply, suffering follows. Dear friends, one of the quiet yet profound sufferings of the greatly fortunate is the burden of others' expectations. When you have fortune, people trust, rely on, and expect much from you. But this often means you can no longer live fully for yourself. With fortune comes expectation. People expect you to always excel, always give, always be strong. If one day you falter, tire, or make a small mistake, their view of you changes. They grow disappointed, critical, or distant, and you are left wondering, what did I do wrong? The fortunate are often leaders, parents, family pillars, or respected figures whom others depend on. But few realize that even those at the forefront need shelter at times. Some mothers toil their lives raising successful children. When their children thrive, they face new expectations: to be the perfect grandmother, always cheerful, always healthy. Some fathers strive to provide for their families, yet in old age find no rest, as everyone believes, Dad is strong, he can handle it. In meeting others' expectations, they lose moments of stillness for themselves. They are no longer allowed to be tired, to err, or to say, I can't do this anymore. They appear as unshakable mountains, but inside, cracks have long formed. The pain deepens when these expectations come not from strangers but from loved ones. Those who care for us unintentionally place burdens beyond our capacity. Out of love and duty, we hesitate to refuse. Gradually, the heart grows heavy and life becomes exhausting. The Buddha taught, expectation is the root of suffering. We suffer when we expect from others, but we also suffer when caught in the cycle of others' expectations without knowing how to resolve it. So, how do we overcome this suffering? Dear friends, the only way is to return to ourselves. We must understand that fortune is not for bearing burdens but for sowing wisdom. We don't need to be perfect in others' eyes. We only need to live kindly, avoid harmful thoughts, and know our limits. When the heart feels overwhelmed, pause. When the spirit is weary, rest. Not to shirk responsibility, but to keep the flame within from burning out. And if we place expectations on others, let us love with understanding, not imposition. For true love does not exhaust others, only expectation makes them falter. The truly fortunate are not those who please everyone, but those who keep their hearts unshaken by expectations that do not belong to them. For in the end, each has their own path to walk, and no one can forever carry the hopes of others. 3. Suffering from not being able to live authentically. The Buddha taught, a dishonest mind cannot find peace. Those who live in falsehood wander forever in delusion. Dear friends, there is a silent, indescribable suffering that erodes the hearts of many, the pain of no longer being able to live true to oneself. Sadly, those with great fortune, high status, or widespread fame are often the ones who fall into this state the most. When we are unknown, we can freely express our emotions, cry when sad, laugh when joyful, speak when angry. But once we become fortunate, with status and eyes watching from all directions, we begin to wear masks of strength, wisdom, or stability. Gradually, we live not for our own hearts, but according to others' expectations, gazes, and standards. Some are broken inside yet must appear calm. Others are deeply wounded but force a smile to reassure those around them. Some lose all passion yet speak uplifting words to maintain an image. Day by day, they lose the authenticity of their own souls. The suffering here is not an external loss, but in no longer being oneself, unable to live with the most natural, genuine feelings. Suppressed emotions and confined thoughts turn life into an endless performance with no curtain call. And when night falls, the lights dim, the stage clears, and the applause fades, they are left alone with an overwhelming emptiness, a suffocating void. Perhaps you've heard someone say, "I have everything, but I don't know who I am." That is the cry of a soul too long deprived of authenticity. The older those with great fortune grow, the more they need to return to sincerity. For only through living long enough do we realize that peace comes not from external appearances but from being ourselves. No pretense, no falsehood, no need to prove anything. The Buddha taught that the true mind is inherently pure, obscured only by delusions. When we live inauthentically, we allow layers of delusion to shroud our lives. And when the true mind cannot shine, no amount of fortune or fame can bring anything but an awkward, lonely existence. So, how do we live authentically in a world full of expectations and judgments? Dear friends, there is only one way. Return to your inner self. Grant yourself moments of stillness, practice speaking truthfully even if only to yourself, and breathe slowly to hear what your heart truly needs. Most importantly, dare to face yourself without judgment. Living authentically does not mean living selfishly. It means not suppressing your emotions just to please others, not stifling your thoughts to maintain a false image, and not forcing yourself to always appear fine. Dear friends, great fortune is a blessing. But if you live forever in the shell of being the fortunate one and lose your true self, that is no longer a blessing but an invisible chain. Remember, a truthful heart is the abode of peace. Living authentically is a form of liberation. And when you can be yourself, that is when you live most deeply, beautifully, and meaningfully in this life. For, suffering from greater losses than others. The Buddha taught, impermanence is the law of the world. Where there is union, there must be separation. Where there is birth, there must be death. Such is life. Dear friends, there is coming together and parting, joy and eventual farewell. No one escapes this law. But one thing often overlooked is that those with great fortune, when they experience loss, feel pain far greater than others. Because the fortunate often possess more precious things than most: wealth, reputation, relationships, social status, or deep emotional bonds. When a calamity strikes, they don't lose just one thing. They lose many at once. Some spend a lifetime building a legacy, only for a small misstep, a mistake, or an illness to bring it all crashing down in an instant. Others nurture a happy family for years, only for the loss of a partner to leave an unfillable void. Some stand at the pinnacle of fame, only for a scandal to drag them into an abyss, unable to regain the trust they once had. Those with little fortune may have less to lose, so when loss comes, they bear it more lightly. But the more fortunate one is, the more entangled they become, attached, regretful, fearful, and in pain. What is lost is not just material. It is effort, love, and a part of their very life. Great loss often brings great shock. Without a strong mind or the guidance of mindfulness, such shocks can easily break a person. Some, after losing wealth, spiral into mental and physical decline. Others, after losing a loved one, sink into loneliness and close their hearts to life. Some who once smiled brightly each day become silent after a tragedy, like a lamp running out of equals asterisk lamps running out of oil. The Buddha taught that nothing in this world belongs to us forever. But due to ignorance, we believe what we have will stay with us always. When we lose, we grieve, and we grieve because we cling. Thus, to escape the suffering of loss, the fortunate must learn one thing: letting go. They must see the truth that nothing lasts forever, not to live pessimistically, but to live with greater awareness. Cherish what you have, and let go lightly when it is gone. When we let go, we allow our hearts to be at ease. We don't resist impermanence, but flow with it peacefully. When we have, we treasure. When we lose, we smile, grateful for having had the experience. Great fortune is not in what we hold, but in a heart that remains steady after loss. It may grieve, but it does not suffer. It may weep, but it does not lament. For we know this is the way of life, the law, the lesson the Buddha taught long ago. Dear friends, if you have recently experienced a loss, a loved one, a possession, a belief, please let your heart find stillness. Cry if you must, grieve if you need, but then recall the Buddha's words. Everything passes, but a peaceful heart endures. Loss, when seen with the eyes of wisdom, is no longer suffering but a step towards spiritual maturity. 5. Suffering from being misunderstood. The Buddha taught, a true friend is rare, and someone who truly understands your heart is rarer still. Dear friends, among the silent sufferings borne by those with great fortune, there is one that cannot be measured by words or expressed through tears: the loneliness of being surrounded by abundance yet understood by no one. The fortunate often stand at great heights, but those at the top are rarely reached. People see their dazzling exterior but seldom notice the inner storms. The world admires, loved ones rely on them, but those who see the weariness behind their smile are few and far between. Some dedicate their lives to others. They carry the weight of family, sacrifice their youth, and silently endure countless pressures, all to ensure those around them are secure. But one day, when they need a kind word or an embrace, no one notices. People assume they're strong, they're capable, they don't need comfort. And so, they become a silent shadow in their own home, present yet unnoticed. They're but unheard. They dare not complain, fearing they'll worry others. They hide their tears, afraid of shattering others' faith. They conceal their sadness, believing they must always be steadfast. The deepest pain is not in being hurt, but in having no one to confide in, no one to ask, "Are you tired today? Is something troubling you?" Or simply, "I'm here, tell me." This loneliness festers, lingering, making them feel like a grain of sand in a desert, invisible, insignificant, lost in the very life they poured their heart into building. The Buddha taught that beings suffer due to delusion. Part of that delusion is failing to see each other with compassion and understanding. In a busy world, hearts grow cold, and people chase their own goals, forgetting that those beside them may be quietly withering in silence. So, if you are fortunate, do not hold your sadness within forever. Learn to share. If you cannot find someone who understands, turn to the Dharma for refuge. By contemplating and looking deeply into your heart, you will gradually find relief, not because the world changes, but because you realize no one understands you better than yourself. And if you live beside someone fortunate, seemingly strong, successful, or capable, do not forget to ask a simple question. How is your heart today? Sometimes, a single question like that can save a soul teetering on the edge of life's vast sea. Dear friends, the fortunate don't need many to understand them, only one who truly sees. And if there is no one, light your own heart with the glow of mindfulness. For when the Buddha resides in your heart, even if no one understands, you are never alone. 6. Suffering from bearing great responsibilities. The Buddha taught, beings suffer afflictions because they cling to the self. The deeper the clinging, the heavier the burden. Dear friends, one common suffering for those with great fortune is the pain of carrying immense responsibilities, to the point of forgetting themselves. The fortunate often achieve much in life, but with their blessings come countless roles entrusted by life. Parents must be pillars for their children, eldest siblings must care for their family, successful individuals must uplift the less fortunate, and leaders must oversee myriad tasks. Thus, day after day, month after month, year after year, they live like an ancient tree amidst life's storms. Many find shade under its branches, but few realize how deeply its roots must dig or how many scars its trunk bears to stand firm. The fortunate are often not allowed to show weakness. They cannot say, I'm tired, I can't, or I need a break. For if they falter, many others may stumble too. So they press on, carrying a heart heavy as stone, smiling while their spirit is worn. Some wake each day to a chain of duties, caring for work, family, loved ones' health, and the livelihoods of those around them. At night, they realize they haven't had 10 minutes for themselves. Days blend into days until their body is weary and their spirit flickers like a dying lamp. The Buddha taught that the wise act with a heart of detachment. They do without clinging, give without expecting reward. But ordinary people are different. We take on responsibilities, then cling to those roles. The more we cling, the heavier the burden. The more we strive for perfection, the harder it is to pause. And so, suffering grows within. How then can the fortunate avoid becoming burdened by pain? Dear friends, there is only one way. No one to stop, share the load, and look within. No one can carry endlessly without tiring. No one can remain strong without rest. Thus, the truly fortunate first love themselves, so they can love others sustainably. Sometimes, resting is not shirking duty but rekindling inner strength. Sometimes, saying, I can't do this anymore, is not giving up but being honest with oneself. And sometimes, sharing responsibilities is not weakness but humility in recognizing one's limits. Dear friends, being fortunate is hard. Being fortunate while keeping a light heart is harder still. But if we cultivate mindfulness, root ourselves in compassion, and let wisdom guide us, those responsibilities become the greatest opportunities for spiritual growth in this life. Ultimately, it's not about how much we carry but whether our heart remains at peace while carrying it. With a clear and expansive mind, even 100 burdens feel as light as air. 7. Suffering from fear of losing what one has. The Buddha taught, the craving mind is the source of suffering. Gaining brings fear of loss, clinging brings chaos. Dear friends, one of life's greatest paradoxes is this. When we have nothing, we yearn, but when we have something, we fear losing it. And that fear can cause more suffering than having nothing at all. The greatly fortunate often possess much of value: wealth, careers, reputation, relationships, status. But because they have much, they live in constant unease, vigilance, and worry. Fear of others' envy, fear of harm, fear of sudden illness, fear that what they've built over years might vanish in a moment. Some lie awake not working but consumed by worry. What if business fails tomorrow? What if my children stumble? What if disaster strikes my home? These fears, like an underground stream, seep into every thought and breath, turning those with everything into the most anxious. Some, upon achieving their dreams, instead of joy, fall into stress. How do I hold on to this? Who's watching? Can I keep it? What they have ceases to be joy and becomes a burden of protection, control, and caution. An ancient saying goes, those who know contentment find peace even lying on the ground. Those who never know enough find no satisfaction even in paradise. The Buddha taught that possession is not happiness. True freedom lies in a mind free from attachment. When we have much but cannot let go, all we possess becomes chains, golden chains, but chains nonetheless. Thus, to find true peace, the fortunate must learn one word: release. Not to abandon everything, but to release the clinging mind. Do your best to preserve, but don't let change disturb your heart. Know that what comes, let it come. What goes, let it go. For nothing is ours forever. Dear friends, reflect. Aren't our most peaceful moments when our hearts are light, unburdened by the need to hold or fear loss? Aren't our deepest smiles when nothing grips us from within? It's not having much that causes suffering, but our refusal to release attachment to what we have. We cannot stop impermanence, but we can learn to smile with it. Having is part of fortune. Keeping a peaceful heart while having is wisdom. Letting go without regret is liberation. The Buddha didn't teach us to abandon life, but to live amidst it without letting it shake our hearts. That is the way. That is true fortune. 8. Suffering from not knowing true happiness. The Buddha taught, beings chase the 5 desires, thinking them joy, only to awaken and find they are but illusions. Dear friends, there is a unique suffering in this life. It comes not from loss, responsibility, or others, but from misunderstanding happiness itself. Many spend their lives pursuing what they call happiness: wealth, status, love, praise, fame. They strive, sacrificing health, youth, integrity, and time with loved ones, believing one achievement will bring lasting joy. Yet, upon attaining it, they feel empty, lost, adrift amidst what they once dreamed of. Some grow rich but feel colder inside. Some achieve success yet weep alone at night. Some are widely praised yet sense an unnameable void in their lives. So they keep searching, from one thing to another, unaware they've lost their way on the path to happiness. The Buddha taught that true happiness comes not from outside but from inner peace. When the heart is at ease, a simple meal tastes sweet as honey. When the mind is clear, a humble hut feels light as a cloud. But with an unsettled heart, even a mansion or luxury feels like a prison. The greatest suffering of the fortunate is believing they are fulfilled while deep down feeling lacking connection with themselves, lacking stillness to hear their inner voice, lacking a spiritual anchor beyond material gains and applause. Many ask, what is true happiness? Dear friends, true happiness is freedom from greed, anger, and delusion. It is feeling content, light, and deeply grateful in each moment. It is no longer relying on others to make us happy but finding joy in simplicity and awareness. We may have fortune, but without mindfulness, that fortune sweeps us into the maze of desires. The more we chase fleeting joys, the further we stray from true happiness. So, if you are fortunate today, pause and ask, is my heart truly happy? If the answer is not quite, it's an invitation to return to yourself, to stillness, to breath, to the miracle of life in each moment. For happiness is not a destination. It is walking with a heart free of craving. It is not having everything but lacking nothing within. If there is a place to find true happiness, it is not outside but in each mindful moment of the present life. Knowing fortune to cultivate, knowing suffering to find liberation. Dear friends, after exploring the 8 sufferings that the greatly fortunate often endure, each of us likely feels a stir within, a piece of ourselves or a familiar figure in our lives reflected in these words. We often pray for more fortune, but few realize that fortune is a form of good karma. Without wisdom to guide it, even good karma can lead us astray. Fortune is not at fault, nor is suffering misfortune. Everything that arises is a lesson, a condition for awakening and returning to ourselves. The Buddha didn't promise a life free of suffering, but he showed us the path to transcend it from within, by understanding cause and effect, not resenting the arrival of karma, by seeing impermanence clearly, not clinging to what will change. By living with mindfulness, making each step and breath an opportunity to return to true peace. If you live in abundance today, don't forget to sow more good deeds and keep a humble heart. If you bear heavy responsibilities, learn to share and care for yourself. If you feel lonely, misunderstood, turn to the Buddha, to your inner heart, the place always quietly waiting for your return. And if you've ever suffered amidst fortune, don't curse life. See it as a wondrous reminder from karma. For knowing suffering, we cherish peace. Knowing impermanence, we live each moment deeply, and knowing cultivation, we keep an unshaken heart amidst life's storms. Dear friends, fortune is not for enjoying but for learning. Suffering is not for fearing but for understanding. Understand, then release, release, then find peace, then truly live. May you, whether fortunate or suffering, find the path back to yourself, the path of understanding, compassion, and a radiant heart amidst this illusory world. Homage to our teacher, Shakyamuni Buddha.